Residents in some areas of Tshwane still continue to experience water shortages. The Hammanskraal, Soshanguve and Tsakane communities had rather pinned their hopes on the multi-million rand Rooiwal Water Treatment Plant project to alleviate their situation. But as it stands, the funds amounting to nearly 300 million rand have all been misappropriated. And now the specialized investigating unit has been given the nod by President Ramaphosa to probe the Tshwane Metro. Water and Sanitation Minister Senzo Mchunu is expected to visit the affected communities today. And our reporter, Bafedile Moerane, joins us now with this story. Bafedile, good morning to you, colleague. Once again, we're placing the spotlight on water issues, outages, shortages, you name it. But also, we cannot forget those who lost their lives in Hammanskraal after that cholera outbreak. This placing a huge spotlight on the work, if any, that's been done at all to ensure that there is access to clean water in the area.
Well, Tumelo, as you have mentioned, that the Minister Senzo Mchunu will be engaging with the leadership of the Tshwane municipality later this afternoon, and also engaging residents who have been affected by this issue of water crisis. We will engage him thoroughly on that to get to the bottom of the issues as to how far is the project and whether the money has actually been set aside. But at this point in time, we are in Tsakane, where we saw community members and ranged the residents having to take matters to the streets, crying foul over issues of water, saying that for a very long time they haven't had water and nobody's coming to them, giving them clarity as to what exactly is happening with that. So we are here with the Deputy Minister of Water and Sanitation, Mr. David Mahlobo, who has actually been engaging Tshwane Metro leadership on issues of water. We are at one of the reservoirs where he has actually been doing an inspection. Thank you so much, Deputy Minister, for joining us. This area, it has actually been plunged by water challenges for quite some time. Do we have water at this point, and what is the leadership in the municipality saying is the challenge?
Firstly, we must acknowledge that there are problems. And when we met with the leadership of the municipality led by the MMC for Infrastructure and Water, MMC Manamela, and with MMC for Economic Development, MMC Nkosi, and the chair of the board, Mr. Mnyokolo, this area where we are, the citizens have been struggling to have water for some time. In the main, the problems have been caused by power failure and a trip, and the ability of the system to be able to fill up urgently as we do. The information that we are getting from the municipality is that a number of areas are having water, but there are areas that still don't have water. And when we check the critical path of water management, the storage reservoirs here, they do have water, but the water is not at an acceptable level. The level as we currently speak is hovering around the 30%. And for a healthy state, it must be running at around 60 to 70%. In other words, the high-lying areas will not be able to get water. But we have discovered that the Brakpan reservoir, which is the main reservoir that supplies here, including the areas of Tutuza, is also hovering around 85%. We have instructed the teams that the technical teams must stabilize the system. Stabilizing the system, one of the considerations is the issues of the shift in the load, so that there are those who are part of the healthy reservoirs. They can be in a position to shift the water so that they can allow this critical reservoir to recover. Because if it doesn't recover, you'll have those particular problems. At the same time, our technical teams must share information in the telemetry system, because the telemetry will be able to say how do you actually adjust those particular aspects of pressure management. Then the other matter that they must handle it well is the management capability of operational teams. Operational teams at a particular point when the system fluctuates, they must use the pressure reducing valves, especially to manage the night flows. But because we're in summer, the temperatures are high, there are certain areas that they need to impose water restriction especially at level 1, where issues of unwise water use like gardening, irrigation and so forth, they can't be able to do that, especially for high users. That has been the commitment by this particular municipality. But their cooperation between themselves and Rand Water is very good. But over the last 2 weeks, there were issues of the storm that we had in Gauteng. It affected most of our biggest water system, especially the areas around Zegerbosch, and most of the areas in Gauteng had no water. We must admit, local government must improve the communication with citizens, be able to alert them that if you do weather forecast, you could see there's going to be a problem. You do the focusing around load shedding, you'll know. Then you can tell the citizen that these are the actions that they should be able to take, because if they don't take those actions, we'll have problems. And then there's an issue here. This facility, you could see, they are doing well. They're increasing the capacity here to add additional 15 megaliters. There's a 15 megaliters here. But we're worried, poor project management, contract management, you could see the place doesn't look good. Even just the management of issues of occupational health and safety, but also the issues of vandalism that has happened here, so that you can be in a position to have the calibration and you do the thing that you're supposed to do. But we must commend the Metro for putting the generator here so that when the system fails, then they are able to still to pump when there are problems.
Just in short, Deputy Minister, we've had residents here when they were talking to my colleague Bafedile last week, having to say that they are alleging corruption from the metro here. What is the municipality saying to you about that, and what are you doing about issues of corruption? Because we've seen in Hammanskraal the issues of corruption, even now SIU is investigating.
Well, the issues of corruption, they have not raised with us here. But if corruption raises ugly head, the leadership of the Metro must act without any fear of favor or contradiction. That's why I was asking them the difficult question, when are they completing this reservoir? What are the timelines? Because it's important. Remember when we were in Hammanskraal, Minister Mchunu and the President were very clear that those people who messed up the 290 million, the SIU must come in. And true to President's commitment, the SIU is there because that money that is meant for the infrastructure we must deal with. But here in Gauteng and elsewhere, there are these officials in government who are working with private sector. They are interfering with the valve so that the trucks can be able to run and the water is not coming there. They must deal with the corruption that is happening there. But there are also those scrupulous business people who are demanding certain percentage without going through the proper processes and even vandalizing the infrastructure. We can't continue to spend more money on security that must be spent on provision of water and sanitation just being sent there, and the law enforcement agencies must act without any fear or favor or contradictions.
Well, thank you so much, Deputy Minister David Mahlobo. Tumelo, they're having to raise concerns with regard to corruption, saying that there are contractors who are taking advantage of the situation, having to vandalize the infrastructure for them to get contracts, secure contracts from the municipalities and make money out of that. So later on this afternoon, we will be in Pretoria, where the Minister Senzo Mchunu will be engaging with the leadership of the municipality there and also the community members, and that's when we'll be speaking to you to give you the latest from the ground.
Absolutely, Bafedile, and we can definitely see there once again the minister, the deputy minister, much to the lambasting of Minister Senzo Mchunu for not seeing Kabelo Kwamanda as the mayor of Johannesburg, not being present to assure that, of course, he addresses residents, but we'll be sure to see, of course, how far these efforts can go, Bafedile. It's been weeks, if not months now, that residents have been without, access to clean water or water at all. And we're hoping that these interventions will bear fruit. But with you on the ground, colleague, we'll be sure to follow through with the developments. That's eNCA reporter Bafedile Moerane.